I appreciated your comments on the aging of our current mileage of the current system, because I think in some way we're perpetuating a system that's deteriorating, and I understand the need to do that in the short term. But we had that discussion at last year's hearing, and look forward to a future direction, more mileage-based. I think we need to go in that direction. But I want to come back to kind of the basics at the core of the governor's program. And you have very well made the argument for the need to do this project. We all recognize the issue, both sides of the aisle here. But I think we need to be honest and square with people about what we're talking about in terms of their cost. You mentioned $2 a week. We've kind of thrown out a number of ways to get at this $2 billion total program, $2 a week. But let's get to a per gallon discussion if we can. We're talking about uncapping the oil company franchise tax, which is levied against, at the wholesale level. But at the end of the day, I think all here recognize that this will be passed along to the consumer. And I'm wondering if you have a number in mind. I'm hearing various numbers out there on how much we think the impact will be to the consumer at the pump on a per gallon basis.
Well, Representative, we don't know. And I say that the reason I've said $2 is that if it were fully uncapped at a per gallon, you'd be looking at the equivalent of about 27, 28 cents if we're fully passed on at the pump. Less than 2 cents we're taking off. So let's just say a quarter, all right, a quarter a gallon, if it's fully passed on. The reason we keep saying if is because right now, if you look at what goes into the price of a gallon of gas, about 70% of it's crude and refinery costs. And that's what happened. The recent run-up of 35 cents a gallon is because of speculation on the price of crude and because of cutbacks at a couple of refineries. If you look at the adjacent states where you have tax rates that are different, you would think that if it's just totally passed on penny for penny, you'd see an exact difference from one state to the next on the tax rate, and you don't do that. As a matter of fact, even within our own state, if you look at the price of a retail gallon of gas across the state, you'll see a swing on any given day of 15 cents. East Shore to West Shore here in Harrisburg, 5, 6 cents. Exact same tax structure. So what that's telling you, and what Mr. Kulik from that organization just published an editorial here in Harrisburg saying, a lot of factors get into it. They're more or less market pricing. And I would agree with you that it's not as though if we put $1.8 billion of cost on it, the wholesalers, they're not going to collect it somewhere. Question is where? Is it all going to be in Pennsylvania? Is it going to be across other markets? Is it going to be across other products? As you know, the model for gasoline stations these days is get you in the gas station and then sell you this for $1.25. You think about that. We're talking about a quarter for possibly 5 years from now. 5 years from now, possibly a quarter a gallon. What are they going to charge you for a bottle of water when you go in there? So we don't know effectively what it would be. What we have done from day one, though, is say, if it's fully passed on, what's it going to cost you? And the average person buys about 400 gallons, 500 gallons of gas a year if they drive 12,000 miles. That's what the average person drives based on statistics. That means you're looking at about $2 a week, a little less than $2 a week, 5 years from now. 5 years from now. Year one, you're looking at 7 cents a week. I mean, it's a really low number starting off. And so we're talking about a 5-year phase-in. If it's fully passed on, that's the number. But we really don't know. We probably never will know because of those fluctuations.
Very good. Well, you've answered that very directly, and I respect that. I think that's important as we're having this public debate, the dialogue. One thing that we need is we need stakeholders who are involved in this issue to reach out into their communities. At some point, each member of the Assembly will need to throw up a vote, and they will need to be armed well with, not only the condition of our roads and bridges, but support from those who are stakeholders in a safer future for our families. And so whoever's listening can get the word out in the various forms of media. That needs to happen as a part of all of this.
I agree with you, and I can tell you on my tour of the state here in the last couple of months, a lot of chamber events, a lot of speaking engagements. The community's coming out, and the chambers are fully engaged in this issue, and their members are fully engaged in it. So I expect you will see a lot of that from a very diverse group of users, from shippers to AARP to bicycle groups to agricultural groups, businesses themselves who rely on the transportation system. They're concerned about this, and I think they'll be reaching out to all of you as well as the media about the importance of this to the health and economy of Pennsylvania. But I agree with you.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.